You're listening to a story about the people who shaped queer history from the shadows, and the headline from the New York Times says it perfectly: LGBTQ figures who shaped history from the margins. We all know the names Sylvia Rivera and Harvey Milk. They've been memorialized in streets, schools, and institutions. But LGBTQ history was built by so many more people who worked quietly, fiercely, and often at enormous personal cost, and whose names most of us have never heard. Take Cecilia Gentili. She described herself with a kind of defiant humor, holding, she joked, a master's degree in being an immigrant, a sex worker, a trans woman, and an addict. She turned every one of those experiences into fuel for activism. She was a lead plaintiff in a lawsuit that successfully blocked the Trump administration from stripping healthcare protections for transgender people under the Affordable Care Act. She helped pass the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act in New York in 2019. She died in 2024. Then there's Lorenza Botner. She lost her arms in a childhood accident, and rather than retreat, she taught herself to paint using her mouth and her feet, creating self-portraits she described as a celebration of what she called the beauty of the crippled body. She pointed to ancient armless statues and asked, "Why are those beautiful, but not me?" She died in 1994 at just 34 years old. Lynn Harris spent years as a computer salesman, carrying the shame of his own sexuality before channeling it into fiction. His novels featured affluent, powerful black men, athletes, lawyers, businessmen wrestling with desire and identity. He eventually quit his job, and 10 of his books became New York Times bestsellers, with more than 4 million copies in print. His agent said he never considered himself a literary writer. He just said he wanted to learn to write well someday. The people around him kept telling him, "Keep still, because what you're doing is already working." Lou Sullivan was a gay transgender man who spent his life pushing back against the medical establishment's assumption that trans men would naturally be attracted to women. He was repeatedly denied care because he was attracted to men. He fought that, built community resources for people identifying as female to male, and left behind writing that captures the raw joy of living authentically, describing a San Francisco Pride parade where he walked with his shirt open in the sun, feeling, as he put it, lean and alive and beautiful. Miss Major Griffin Gracie spat in a police officer's face at Stonewall in 1969. She boycotted Pride when corporations took over. She drove San Francisco's first needle exchange van and nursed gay men dying of AIDS. She came up from homelessness and poverty to become, as The Guardian called her in 2023, the most celebrated trans activist and elder alive today. Her life became a documentary in 2015. She died this year. And James Bunn, born in a Japanese-American internment camp during World War II, became a self-taught AIDS expert after his own diagnosis in 1989. Working from a small Philadelphia apartment, he gave patients free internet access and ran an underground organization supplying free marijuana to ease their pain. He connected patients, activists, and policymakers across the world through his computer screen, years before most people understood what the internet could do. These are the people who built the scaffolding that others climbed. Their names may not be on buildings, but their work is in the walls. That's the story, the one's history almost forgot, but shouldn't.